Okay, good afternoon. Today's shir is Leila Nishmat, Bikimia's grandmother, Annie. Leila Nishmat, your grandmother, Annie, and Tzida ben Chaim Pesach, Osher Shmuel Chaim, Ben Ephraim Vitziona, William and Helen, Rachel bas Yosef, David ben Avraham, Yitzchak ben Sarah, Devorah bas Yitzchak, Avram ben Mordechai David, Reuben ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Shoshana bas Achona, Yeshua ben Shmuel, Chaim ben Fega, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Rachel bas Yosef, Eliezer ben Yaakov, Chaim ben Gedalia, Zalman Lei ben Moshe, Chaim Eliyahu ben Yosef Moshe, Amichai ben Yaakov, Gedalia ben Tzvi Ruven, Leila Nishmatam. In this week's Parshat, we have New York City. Before we get to the current events in the Haftorah, Shirley, this week's Parshat, we have New York City. I'm not hallucinating. If you look at Bamidbar 20, if you look at Chukath is Bamidbar 20. Bamidbar 20, that's Parshas Chukath, in Pasuk Chav Bet. Bamidbar 20, Pasuk Chav Bet, Parshas Chukath. Bamidbar 2022, every Jew of 2022. The Jews traveled from a place called Kadesh, and the Jewish people came to Har. That's where Aaron HaKohen died. He died on Har. Now what does Har mean? Rashi says Har al Gabe Har. The mountain where Aaron died is called Har. Rashi says Har al Gabe Har. One mountain on top of the other one. Fasten your seatbelts. Kitapuach katan al Gabe tepuach gadol. Like a small apple sitting on the big apple. New York, New York, what a wonderful town. Isn't that incredible? Say the name of your father. Leila Nishmat? Dov Bear Ben? Nachum. Moving on up. You hear this? Rashi writes about the big apple. Shirley, Bamidbar 2022, Aaron died on Har. Tapuach katan, it's a small apple, al gabe tapuach gadol. The big apple, Ray. Everything is in Rashi, even New York City. That's pretty incredible, the big apple. But let's get to the current events in the Haftorah. The Haftorah, in page 1187 in the blue book. If you don't have one, please look in with somebody. We don't have enough blue books. Oh, what's bothering Rashi on this one? What?
The traffic.
The traffic. What do you mean?
New York City.
New York City, So if you look in the Haftorah, where's it, Yehuda? 1187? 1187, right? The book of Judges 11. Yiftach Hagaladi, Gibor Chayil, V'hu ben Isha Zonah. Isn't that incredible? There's no cover-ups in the Bible, Ray. Tell it like it is. Yiftach was a shofet of Israel. The Talmud says, Yiftach bedoro, kishmuel bedoro. And the Talmud, and the Navi says, V'hu ben Isha Zonah. He was the son of a harlot. Vayolet Gilat et Yiftach. His father had an affair with a harlot, and he was born. You hear this? And there's no cover-ups. Ben Isha Zonah. And yet, he became a shofet of Am Yisrael. And he himself was no Talmud Chacham, far from it. This is one of the connections to the Parsha. The Parsha speaks about the Parah Adumah. It's the ultimate paradox. The red cow. The red cow ashes, while it's purifying A, it's defiling B. It makes no sense to us. The ultimate paradox is the Parah Adumah. How can the very ashes that defile A purify B? That's a mystery. Well, it's a mystery why HaKadosh Baruch Hu would pick Yiftach to be a shofet of Israel, a Ben Isha Zonah. Why would God choose him to save Israel? It's a paradox, Shirley. God does not discriminate, but he himself was no tzaddik either. Why would God make him the chief rabbi of Israel? Yiftach bedoro kishmuel bedoro. It's a mystery. We just like we can't figure out the paradox of the Paraduma, we can't figure out why God would chose this guy from his low background to become what? The Shofet of Am Yisrael. A Shofet? We don't know. It's a mystery. As God tells Isaiah, Ki machshavotai, my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. We can't figure out. You can't figure out the Paraduma. You can't figure out why God would choose this guy to be the savior of Am Yisrael. It's a mystery. That's one of the connections between the Parsha and what? And the Haftorah. But of course there's more than that. Current events in the Haftorah. Before Yiftach goes to war with the king of the PLO, he what? Negotiates. Oslo 3,000 years ago, Sarah. Oslo 3,000 years ago, Connie. You hear this? He negotiates. He sits down with the king of the PLO, the king of Ammon, says, why are you terrorizing me? What do you want from me? Why are you sending suicide bombers to terrorize me? You know what the king of the PLO says? You stole our land. Return the stolen land, land for peace, and we'll stop terrorizing you. Sound familiar? I'm not reading, I'm talking, right? But if you read the Haftorah, this is what the gist of it. This is what you get from the Haftorah. The king of the PLO, the king of Ammon, says the reason we terrorize you and have intifada, you stole our land. Yiftach, give us back land for peace. The same old lies, Ray, from 3,000 years ago. The same old lies. It's an excuse to terrorize us. But Yiftach didn't take that from them. He went and destroyed them. He didn't negotiate. That's your attitude. We didn't steal your land. The Kodesh Baruch Hu gave us your land. The same old lies, the same old excuses for terrorism. But Yiftach, he destroys them. He wipes them out. Okay? So again, this became the Shofet of Israel, one of the great leaders of Israel, and yet he comes from such a low and humble beginning. So here you have in the Haftorah the current events. The same lies that Abu Mamzer is saying now, he probably read what the king of Ammon said 3,000 years ago, recycling the same old lying excuses why they terrorize us. But in the Parsha, it's even more pronounced. In the Parsha, there's a very strange Rashi in the Parsha. In Bamidbar 21:1, now I couldn't make this up if I tried. In Bamidbar 21:1, if you don't have a book, you can listen to me. It's the Kanani heard that Aaron died, and the Stalkei Anane Hakovot, the magic clouds disappeared when Aaron died. And what did the Kanani do? Vayilachem Yisrael. And he went to terrorize Israel. So the Pasuk says, who terrorized us? In Bamidbar 21:1, the Kanani. Rashi makes a very strange statement. Rashi says, now Rashi's writing in the year 1040. Rashi says, they are really not Canaanim. They are really Amalek. But they changed their language and their dress to appear like Canaan. Now, when you read this Rashi 100 years ago, Benjamin, what is Rashi talking about? Canaani, Amaleki. Why should I care? The Torah is not Historia. The Torah, the Torah is GPS. The text says in 21:1, the Canaani terrorized us. Rashi comes along quoting the Midrash, that what? They were really Amalek, but they changed their speech and their dress to appear like Canaan. But they're really not Canaanim. They speak and dress like what? Right? They're not Canaanim. They are really Amalekim, but they speak Canaan. Rashi, what are you driving at? What difference does it make? Now Rashi was a prophet writing in the year 1040. our conflict with Abu Mamzer. Now, what's the difference between Canaan and Amalek, Benjamin? Canaan, it's a territorial dispute. We did capture their land from the 31 kings. We did capture their land. Amalek, so maybe you have a reason to hate us. We took their land. Amalek, we never took an inch of Amalekite land, Shirley. Never. We were not authorized to take 1 inch of Amalekite land. We never had designs on Amalek territory, never captured their territory. Their hatred for us has nothing to do with the territorial dispute. They just hate us. I can't stop hating you. Avi, please hear me well. Rashi must have been a prophet. Rashi's saying that our enemy, Abu Mamzer, he speaks in the language of Canaan, as it would be a land for peace. It's about Canaan. We did take their land, right? So they make believe it's Canaan. You're occupying our territory. Give us back land, and we'll give you terror in exchange. I mean, we'll give you peace in exchange. But Rashi says, don't fall for it. They're really Amaleki. Rashi, Rachmiel, it must have been a Navi. When you learned this Rashi 100 years ago, what's he talking about? They spoke Canaan, but they really were Amalek. But we understand what Rashi's speaking for our time. They speak the language of Canaan as if it would be a territorial dispute. But Rashi says, don't fall for it. They are really Amaleki. It has nothing to do with land for a peace. We never had designs on Amalekite land. It's pure, unadulterated hatred. They can't help themselves. They're Pere before the Adam. Now, Hebrew would say Adam Pere. Right, Rabbi Abraham? You would say Hebrew Adam Pere. But the Chofetz Chaim, the New Hebrew, says, Yishmael is Pere Adam. The savage comes before the human being. The Pere lifnei Adam. So Rashi was so prophetic, Avi. He's speaking for our time. When Rashi wrote this, Avi, no one knew what he's talking about. Canaan, Amalek. We know. Rashi's writing for us. Canaan, land for peace. Rashi said it's a lie. They're really Amalek. And nothing to do with land for peace. We never had designs on Amalek. They just terrorize us because can't help myself. Remember that song? They can't help myself, right? Amazing how the Parshat and the Haftorah, actually, amazing. Rashi writing 1040. Incredible. Now,
they also learned German.
Well, Rashi spoke Yiddish too. You know, if you look at Deuteronomy 28, Rashi writes in Yiddish.
They also learned German, whoever hated us.
Nachon. Now, if you look at Bamidbar 21:6, if you don't know Hebrew, it's Chaval. In Bamidbar 21:6, the Jewish people complain about the man. It says, Vayishalach Hashem ba'am et anachashim asrafim. So how does the Art Scroll translate 21:6, Yehuda?
It says that
God sent the snakes to bite the people. But that's not true. It says Vayishalach. There's a big difference between the word Vayishalach and the word Vayishlach. Vayishlach means to send. Vayishlach means to send. It doesn't say Vayishlach. What does it say in the Hebrew? Rabbi Abraham, Vayishalach. If you don't know Hebrew, someone should write a letter to Art Scroll, 1916 Coney Island Avenue. Please, if you can write them a letter. It's a total mistranslation. Vayishlach would be to send. Vayishalach is Loshen Hifil. Hifil, nachon? It means to release, to let loose. God wouldn't send no snakes to bite us. Doesn't say Vayishlach, Masha. Vayishlach means to send. It says Vayishalach. Vayishalach is Loshen Hifil. It means to release, to let loose. What do you mean? Be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. The pasuk right before that, the people complain. We don't want the man. We don't want no more supernatural existence anymore. Magic clouds, donuts from heaven. We have enough. We don't want supernatural existence anymore. Be careful what you pray for, because you might get it. If they were walking in the midbar for 40 years, there's a lot of rattlesnakes in the midbar, and rattlesnakes bite people. If no one got bit until now, it's because of supernatural existence. You guys said you don't want the supernatural existence. V'nafshenu katzeh b'lechem haklokel. We want to have normal. Where's the beef? We want a real hamburger for a change. A real fish and chips. Nafshenu katzah. We're disgusted with the supernatural existence. So God says, B'vakasha. B'vakasha. You don't want supernatural existence no more? You're going to walk in the desert. There's a lot of copperhead rattlesnakes there. Vayishalach Hashem ba'am. It's such a terrible mistranslation. I'm upset, sir. If you could write a letter to Art Scroll. It doesn't say Vayishlach. It says Vayishalach. Anyone who knows Hebrew, it's Lashon Hifil. It means to turn loose, to release. Up until now, that no one got bit, Yehuda, was a supernatural miracle. Together with the man. You guys said we don't, nafshenu, we're disgusted with the supernatural existence. We want down to earth. Well, Rachmiel, down to earth, you're going to walk in the desert, you're going to get bit by rattlesnakes. God didn't send the snakes. Doesn't say surely vayishlach, says vayishalach.
Why Elijah Bolton doesn't give a number?
Doesn't give a number, I don't know. But the point is, it doesn't say vayishlach Yehuda, it says vayishalach. Anyone who knows Hebrew, Hifil, God just turned them loose, because be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. Isn't that incredible? You just might get it. Now, back in the Midbar 25, Aaron has to die. Aaron has to die. How does the Torah describe death? In Bamidbar 20:24, Aaron shall be gathered to his people. His people, Ray, were buried in the Cairo cemetery. What do you mean Aaron shall be gathered to his people? Not going to ship his body back to Cairo. Where is people buried? In Cairo, right? So how does the Torah describe death? Yosef Aaron Amav. Aaron shall be gathered to his people. Doesn't mean the Cairo cemetery. It means when a person dies, he joins his relatives in Olam Haba. Yosef Aaron El Amav. Aaron shall be gathered to his people. Not in the cemetery. He will join his deceased relatives in Gan Eden.
Was Aaron involved with Moshe and hitting the stone?
So now you opened up a whole, okay, we'll get to that. But first I want to, was Aaron involved? Well, God says they were involved. We'll see in a minute. Kachet Aaron. So God says, take Aaron up to Mount Horeb. How do you take a person up a mountain? Kachet Aaron. Take Aaron up the mountain. So Rashi says, Kachet Aaron didn't mean to carry him up the mountain. B'dvorim shel nechumim. Words of consolation. Aaron is sad. He has to die. He's not coming to Pisgat Zev. He's very upset. He has to die. So Rashi says, Kachet Aaron b'dvorim shel nechumim. With words of comfort and consolation. Say to him, says Rashi. God says, say to him, Ashrecha, you are fortunate that you will see your crown of the priesthood passing on to your son. And Moshe said, I'm not zoich for that. My son will not inherit my crown of leadership, but your son Elazar will become the high priest. So Rashi is telling us an amazing message. When a Jew is sad, there's a mitzvah to comfort him. In fact, in the mitzvah of tzedakah, the Chinuch says, in the mitzvah of tzedakah, It's not only money. If you say a kind word when someone is down, you're getting the mitzvah of tzedakah, and it doesn't cost no money. It's free. A kind word to cheer somebody up, says the Sefer HaChinuch, in Mitzvah Tov Ayin Tet, it's like giving him $1 million and it doesn't cost you anything. To give someone a smile when he's down doesn't cost you nothing. It's free and it's a mitzvah. But some people just can't smile. They're like constipated. Doesn't cost any money to smile. Kachet Aaron, cheer him up, comfort him. You have to die, yes, but you have a schus. You're going to see your son take over the Kahuna Gedolah. And Moshe said, I'm not zoicha for that. So what a powerful message. Tzedakah, if you don't have money, doesn't cost to say a kind word or a smile. Now, what Masha said, Aaron didn't hit the rock. Why does Aaron have to die in the midbar? Right? He didn't hit the rock, did he? So why does he have to die? So if you look at the midbar 20, Pasuk 12, God says to Moshe and to Aaron, by midbar 20, verse 12, God says to Moshe and Aaron, Yan lo hemantem bi. You guys did not believe in me to sanctify me. Therefore, you and your brother Moses are not going to come to Pisgat Zev. So the Ramban has an eisen, a kasha, and Rashi. How do you say eisen in Yiddish? Iron. An iron kasha and Rashi. Rashi says the sin was that Moshe, instead of speaking to the rock, was instead of what? Speaking to the rock, v'dibartem el hasela, he hit the rock. He hit the rock. So Ramban says, according to Rashi, why is God accusing Aaron of not believing in him? Here Rashi's, the Ramban's kasha on Rashi. If according to Rashi, the sin was that Moshe struck the rock instead of speaking, Aaron didn't strike the rock. I am a rock. So why does God say to Moses and Aaron, you guys didn't believe in me? Aaron had nothing to do with what? Hitting the rock. And how is hitting the rock or speaking to the rock not believing in God? Those are the two bomb kashis that the Ramban asked on whom? On Rashi. Number one, what difference does it make to speak to the rock, to hit the rock? How is that yan lo hemantem bi? How is that a lack of amunah on Hashem where they hit the rock or speak to the rock? And number two, according to Rashi, what do you want from poor Aaron? He never hit the rock. So therefore the Ramban does not agree with Rashi. That was not the sin. They were supposed to hit the rock. Because what does God say? Kachet hamateh. In Bamidbar 20 verse 8, God said, Kachet hamateh. If you was not supposed to hit the rock, Shirley, why did God say in Bamidbar 28, take the stick? Remember 40 years ago when they left Cairo? God also told them what? Take the stick and strike the rock. So he was supposed to do the same thing here. Otherwise, why would God say in Bamidbar 28, take the stick and gather to the people? If it was not supposed to hit the rock, as Rashi claims, why did God say kachet hamateh? Therefore, Ramban and Rabbeinu Hananel do not agree with Rashi. They say something incredible. Look what they say in Bamidbar 20:10. Bamidbar 20:10. Moshe and Aaron assembled all the people in front of the rock, and they said, listen, you rebels. Hamin asela hazeh noitzi lechem mayim. From this rock, we will give you water. We will give you water? The boss will give you water. Now Aaron is also guilty. They said, Hamin asel hazeh noitzi lechem mayim. From this rock, notzi lechem mayim. That lashon plural, right? We will give you water. Instead of giving credit to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they said, we will do it. Now we understand, Masha, Yan lo hemantem bi. You didn't believe me to sanctify me. You should have said, Hashem will give you water. But no, they said, we will give you water. Now we understand why Aaron is also implicated. Because he also said, we will give you water. And now we understand why Yan lo hemantem bi. You didn't believe me. You should have given me the credit, says God, and not take it upon yourself. And therefore, you will not bring this congregation to Ashkelon. I mean, Pisgat Zev. I mean, Male Lebanon. Huh? But what does A got to do with B? How we know that God punishes Midah Keneged Midah? Just because they didn't sanctify Hashem, they said, we will give you water instead of Hashem. Why is the appropriate punishment not coming to Eretz Yisrael? We know God punishes always Midah Keneged Midah. How is the Midah Keneged Midah over here? How is the Midah Keneged Midah over here? I'm asking for help because I don't know. Let's think, huh? What? No, but how is that Yan lo hemantem bi? How is that appropriate Midah Keneged Midah? You didn't sanctify me. You should have said, God will give you water from the rock. You said, we will give you water, according to Ramban and Rabbeinu Chananel. And therefore, God says, therefore, the appropriate punishment is you're not going to come to Eretz Yisrael.
It's not so much as appropriate punishment, but
what's Midah Keneged Midah?
that's the only thing you could give them.
But we know God does Midah Keneged Midah. So in my humble opinion, Eretz is what?
They'd have taken credit for bringing everyone into Israel.
So they, I like what you said. Beautiful. In other words, they took God's credit away, so therefore God takes their credit away. You're not going to bring the people to Eretz Yisrael. You won't get the credit. I love that. Thank you. I'm glad you came today. The credit for bringing making the rock flow with water, this great miracle, they should have given credit to Hashem. But they said, no tzilachem, we will. They took the credit away from Hashem. So, Yisrael Baruch, right? Yisrael Baruch, I'm glad he came today, I want to see you more often, says, Midah Keneged Midah. You took away Hashem's credit that belongs to Hashem, so God will take away the credit from you, Moses and Aaron. Even though you led them 40 years, you're not going to get the credit for bringing them to Pisgat Zev. Yisrael Baruch, Motu Kedvash. I'm glad he came. I didn't know. You know, Kumiki Dinky, that he came. You hear what he said? Beautiful. Midah Keneged Midah.
It's also like the spies, because they didn't say that Hashem said he's going to take you into Eretz Israel.
Right.
And they said, we can't take you in there. It's not right for you. So they were punished and all the people were punished.
Okay. All right, I hear. Nachon. Yeah. So anyway, Miriam dies. In Midbar 20, Pasuk 1. All three great leaders died in the 40th year. Miriam died in the month of Nisan in the 40th year. Aaron died when? Rosh Chodesh Av in the 40th year. And Moshe Rabbeinu died Zayin Adar. All three leaders died in the 40th year. So the first to go in the month of Nisan in the 40th year, by Midbar 20, Pasuk 1, Miriam Hanaviyah. She dies. It says Miriam died there and she was buried there. Right? Now, obviously if she died there, she was buried there. Well, over there. Very difficult puzzle. By Midbar 21, it says Miriam died there. Mashi, have that? Vatama Sham Miriam, Vatikover Sham. In Kadesh. Miriam died there and she was buried there. Where is there? And why should I care, Ray, where she died and where she was buried? The Torah is not Sipurim. The Torah is GPS, Ways. Elisheva, you know why the Jews had to wander 40 years in the Midbar? Because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have Ways. He didn't have Ways. So Nebuch had a blunger. How do you say blunger in English? For 40 years. No Ways. Right? Yisrael Baruch, right? Better late than never. Okay, so Moshe didn't have ways, got verblunged 40 years. Miriam died there and she was buried there. The word there is obviously superfluous. So the Gemara in Moed Katan says something incredible. She died there and she was buried there. Well, obviously, she was buried there, not over here, over there. What does it mean? So the Gemara in Moed Katan says something incredible. Miyad lemita kvura. The greatest chesed you can do for a person that dies is to bury him immediately. The greatest chesed you can do for a niftar, lo yaleinu, is to bury him immediately, not to delay the burial. Moed Katan 28. How do you know that? It says, Vatama sham Miriam, vatikover sham. As soon as she died, she was what? Buried without delay. That's a chesed shel emet. Because Koheles tells us that the neshama cannot return to God who gave her until the body is put back in the ground. It's a pasuk in Kohelet that the neshama cannot return to God until the body is what? Put back in the ground. How does Koheles know that? From here, Vatama sham Miriam, vatikover sham. The same spot where she died, she was what? She was buried without delay. There's a pasuk in Kohelet, chapter 12. Kohelet, chapter 12, verse 7. V'yoshav ofel orish k'shehaya, only when the body is put back in the dust of the earth as she came from, only then v'horuach toshuv el Elohim, only then can the soul return to God, asher netana, who gave her. The soul is feminine. So the greatest chesed you can do for a niftar is to put the body in the ground as soon as possible, because only then can the neshama return to God who gave her.
And this concept was similar. I just went to a class where they said they were afraid the person's still alive, so they don't want to bury somebody after 3 days to make sure he was dead.
Yeah.
So it could conflict with the local law.
But there's an extra sham there. It says, Vatomas Miriam, vatikover sham. It should have said, Vatomas Miriam, vatikover sham. To teach miyad kvura, mita lekvura, it's enough to write the sham once. It should have said, you see Masha 28, verse 20, pasuk 1. It should have said, Vatomas Miriam, vatikover sham. So I would learn, miyad lemita kvura. But why is there an extra sham next to Miriam? There's an extra sham, Yehuda, that seems to be superfluous. It doesn't belong there, Professor Chaya. What is the extra sham there? Says the Yoredeya Simin Shun Nin Dalid. From here you learn out, Lo Yaleinu, if there's a man and a woman, both died at the same time, who does the Chevre Kadisha have to bury first? Lo Yaleinu. Who? A woman. Ladies first.
Why?
Because there's an extra sham, Kani. It says, Vatomas sham Miriam. Vatikover sham. Miyad lemita kvura. But the extra sham next to the word Miriam, after she died, the Yoredeya Siman Shundalid learns halacha. If a man and a woman die at the same time, the Chevre Kadisha must bury the woman first. Her covet comes first. And we learned that from the extra sham next to Vatamat Sham Miriam. Ladies first and everything. Right? Ladies first, right?
Was she older than Aaron?
She was the oldest. Of the three siblings, she was the oldest.
So Aaron was born after Miriam spoke?
Miriam was the firstborn. Then you have Aaron. Aaron was 3 years older than Moshe. And Moshe was... So Miriam died at 126, I think. And Aaron died at 123. And Moshe died at what? At 120. Right? Yeah.
And when Sarah died, it says how old she was.
It doesn't say how old Miriam was, right?
But when Aaron was born, didn't they have that law that the kids have to be killed?
Good question, Masha. No, that law only kicked in when Moshe was born. Remember, Rashi says that when Moshe was born, Jean Dixon, remember her? The stargazer said, the Savior of Israel is born today. But we don't know if he's a Jewish child or a Mitzvah child. So that's the decree came down to throw the babies in the river, but that decree only when Moshe was born. So when Aaron was born, there wasn't that decree. He was 3 years older. That decree came down when the stargazers, remember Jean Dixon, no? She said, Pharaoh, today the Savior of Israel is born. And we see in the crystal ball that he's going to be struck by water. So therefore, throw all the babies in the water. But that decree was only on the birth of Moses. When Aaron was born 3 years earlier, there was no such decree.
So she spoke to her father after Aaron was born.
Right, she spoke to, right. After Aaron was born, he separated from his wife. So she said, Abba, your decree is worse than Stalin. I mean, worse than Paro. Because Paro, you only geyser on what? On the Jewish boys. By divorcing mommy, you're preventing what? The baby girls from born too.
Bob says she might have been 4 years older.
4 years older, 3 years older, whatever. She was the oldest, okay? But she was the oldest. So the Parsha begins with what? With the Porah Duma. Not the mad cow, but with the red cow, right? Very strange, the Porah Duma, very strange. And there's a strange halacha in the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Tov Reish Pei Hei, in the Orach Chaim, that to read Parshas Parah. When do you read Parshas Parah? Besides reading it now, Sarah, we read it again before Pesach. Before Pesach. The Shulchan Aruch Siman Tov Reish Pei Hei makes a very strange statement. Reading Parshas Parah is a mitzvah d'oraita. The last time I checked, where's a mitzvah of the Torah to read Parshas Parah? Reading Parshas Zohar, I understand. Remember what Amalek did to you on the road. So that's a mitzvah in the Torah to read Parshas Zohar Amalek. But where is Parshas Parah a mitzvah in the Torah? That the Shulchan Aruch paskins to read Parshas Parah is a mitzvah d'oraita. Where's the Shulchan Aruch coming from? The last time I checked the Sefer HaMitzvahs, Elisheva, I found the mitzvah to read Parshas Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you. Remember what Abu Mamzer did to you. But I couldn't find anywhere that reading the Parsha, the red cow, is a mitzvah min Torah. Last time I checked, it wasn't there. What's the Shulchan Aruch talking about? Fasten your seatbelts. Ani ma'amim emunah shalema. I believe in Tchiyat HaMeitim. One of the Ani Ma'amim, Zavi, I believe in Tchiyat HaMeitim. Meitim Yechaye'el Barov Chazdo Baruch Hadayat Shem Tehilato Meitim Yechaye'el Barov Chazdo. So one of the Ani Ma'amins is what? Believe in Tchiyat HaMeitim. And the Rambam says, if you don't believe in that, you're a kofer be'ikar. Masha, the last time I checked, I didn't find nowhere in the Sefer HaMitzvahs to believe in Tchiyat HaMeitim. How could the Rambam say, if you don't believe in Tchiyat HaMeitim, it's an ikar from the Torah, you're a kofer be'ikar. If it's so important, it should be somewhere where? In the Sefer HaMitzvahs. Last time I checked, I couldn't find believing in Tchiyat HaMeitim was the ikar of Yahadut. And the Rambam claims, ikar of Yahadut, if you don't believe it, you're a kofer. So where is it in the Torah? Beautiful, Rachmiel. Oh, I'm glad you came.
What did he say?
Rachmiel gave away the punchline. He said that reading Parshas Parah and understanding it is ani ma'amim emunah shalema b'tchiyat hameitim. And I'll show you how. Thank you. Somehow, by reading Parshas Parah and understanding it, Why read it today? We ain't got no red cow, no mad cow. I'll prove to you that reading Parshas Parah is ani mamin b'emuna shalema b'tchiyat hametim. Therefore, the Shulchan Aruch says that reading Parshas Parah is what? A d'oraita. And therefore, the Rambam says ani mamin b'tchiyat hametim the ikra of Yahadut. So it is in the Torah. Learning Parsha of the Parah Aduma. So when you're going to read this Parsha Shabbos morning, Sarah, you'll be sitting in shul, and you're hearing about Korah read Parshas Parah, mitzvah shrichas kavanah. You have to have kavanah. In the Milchum Zilman Kai mitzvah saseh shel ani mamin b'tchiyat hamesim. Am I coming in clear, Connie? I'm giving you a tremendous chidush. Thanks to Rachmiel. A tremendous chidush here. When you hear Parshas Parah, mitzvah shrichas kavanah, you have to have kavanah. What am I doing? I don't have no red cow. Why am I reading it? I am fulfilling ani mamin b'emuna shalema b'tchiyat hametim. And therefore, the Shulchan Aruch paskins that reading Parshas Parah is what? D'oraita, min haTorah. Because tchiyat hametim min haTorah. How? Stay tuned. I'll prove to you that reading Parshas Parah reaffirms my belief in tchiyat hametim. What do you do with Parshas Parah? What do you do with the red cow? What do you take? You take Eitz, Erez, Ezov, Shni, Talas. Bamidbar 19, Pasuk 6. When the belly of the cow bursts from the heat, you're supposed to throw in cedar wood. You're supposed to throw in what? Some grass. And you're supposed to throw in a thread dyed with the blood of a talat. What? Shni toilat. Toilat means in Hebrew a caterpillar. A talat in Hebrew means a caterpillar. So in the Parah Aduma ceremony, you're supposed to throw in, some say dyed with a talas, others say a talat itself, in the belly of the burning beast. From the heat, the belly explodes. You're supposed to throw in a caterpillar. What are you throwing in a caterpillar into the what? Into the Parah Aduma's belly? So according to Kabbalah, if you want to know the secret of tchiyat hamesim, it's in Talas. Why does King David say, V'anoichi Talat? King David, speaking for the Jewish people in Tehillim 22, says, I am a caterpillar. And God tells Yeshayahu, Al tiri Talat Yaakov. Why does King David in Tehillim, and Yeshayahu and Memhei refer to the Jewish people as a caterpillar? Masha, I would say the American eagle, the Russian bear. Why is the Jewish people, Isaiah and King David, call us a talat? Because the secret of tchiyat hamesim is contained in the caterpillar. The caterpillar crawls into a cocoon. What happens in the cocoon? The caterpillar decomposes. The cocoon is like a kever. Echam cocoon bi'ivrit, cocoon. Kikion. What happens to the caterpillar there? It decomposes. But out comes a beautiful butterfly. That's the secret of tchiyat hametim. When a person dies, he's put into a cocoon. What's the cocoon called? Kever. Is that the end? No. You don't believe me? Look at the caterpillar, the cocoon, and the butterfly. When the time comes, the dead will arise from the cocoon, the kever, like a butterfly out of the grave. If God can do it to a caterpillar and a butterfly, He can do it for human beings as well. So here you have what? The toilat. That death is not final. How do I know it's not final? You don't believe me, right? Look at the caterpillar, the toilat. A major ingredient of the red cow is the toilat. The caterpillar in the cocoon. Out comes a butterfly. That's the secret of tchiyat hametim. What else do you take? Take a look at Bamidbar 19, verse 17. So you burn up the cow and you turn it into ashes. Bamidbar 19, 17. V'lokhu latome me'afar sreifas achatos. Menasan olav mayim chayim el keli. You take the cow and you turn it into dust. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So the dust reminds you of what? Of mitah, of death. But you mix the ashes with mayim chayim. What does mayim chayim mean? What? Living waters. I never met dead waters, Ray.
Evian, right there.
Dead waters. It says, V'nosan olav mayim chayim. Did you ever meet dead waters? It says mayim chayim. So again, the dust and the ashes is a symbol of what? Death. The mayim chayim is a symbol that death is not final. The ashes that are ashes to ashes, dust to dust, when the time comes, they'll be like mayim chayim. They'll become alive again. What else do you take? V'lokach ezov. So you mix the ashes with mayim chayim, living waters, and then you take hyssop grass and you spritz the person. V'lokach ezov. What does ezov mean? So here you have the semel for Tchiyat HaMesim. The afar represents death. The mayim chayim represents what? That those that are dead will come alive. Ezov. If you look in Tilim Ayin Bet, Tilim Ayin Bet says, "V'yotzitu k'esev ha'aretz," that when the time comes, the dead will sprout like Ezov from the earth. So in the Parah Aduma, the ceremony of the Parah Aduma, you have the symbol of what? Of Tchiyat HaMeitim. And therefore the Parah Aduma removes Tumat Met. What does Tumat Met mean? You come in front of a dead body, you become depressed. Death, it's so final. It's not final. When you learn the Parshat, the Parah Aduma, it relieves the depression of death. It removes Tumas Mes, because the symbols of the Parah Aduma prove that the dead will live again. That the Afar will turn into Mayim Chayim. The Talat in the ceremony, the butterfly, the caterpillar, the cocoon. So learning about Parah Aduma relieves the stigma, the depression that death is final. Death is not final. How do I know? Look at the Talat. The caterpillar crawls into the cocoon. It's a grave. She decomposes there, but out comes a butterfly. That's the symbol of Tchiyat HaMeitim. So Shabbos morning, when you hear this Parsha read, you're going to have to, I have in mind to fulfill Ani Mamin. I believe in Tchiyat HaMeitim. How do I know it's going to happen? Look at the Talat in the ceremony of the Parah Aduma. Look at the Afar, Afer, turning into Mayim Chayim. I never met dead waters, did you? Isn't that incredible?
Where does it say that a caterpillar gets in there?
What? It says in Pasuk Zayin, Pasuk Vav, Bamidbar 19, Pasuk Vav, V'lokach HaKohen, Eitz Erez, Ve'ezov Ushni Tolat, Ve'hishlich al toch Sreifat HaPara. Well, the red cow, after it's shechted, it's burned, and from the great heat, the belly explodes, and you throw in there a tolat. Isn't that, it sounds very strange. It sounds like voodoo, chas v'sholom. It's not voodoo. It reinforces my belief in Tchiyat HaMeisim. Ezov, there's a pasuk in Tilim 72 that the dead will sprout like grass. So you throw grass in there, you throw a talat. These are all symbols of what?
What's a talat?
Talat is a caterpillar. Yeah, good thing you came today. Talat is a caterpillar. But the Kabbalah teaches that's why the Jewish people in Tilim 22, in Isaiah 45, the Jewish people are called what? You caterpillar, you. Not a Russian bear. King David and Isaiah called the Jewish people Toilat, Because the secret of Tchiyat HaMesim is the caterpillar, the cocoon, the grave, and out comes a butterfly. So just like the butterfly is more beautiful than what? Caterpillar. So when Mashiach comes, the dead will rise, their bodies will be much more beautiful than they were before. They'll be like a butterfly compared to what? Caterpillar. The secret of Tchiyat HaMesim, therefore the Shulchan Aruch paskins that reading Parshas Parah is a doraita, because it reinforces my belief in Tchiyat HaMesim. And the Rambam makes Tchiyat HaMesim an ikar of Yahadut. An ikar of Yahadut. Why is Tchiyat HaMesim the ikar of Yahadut? Benyamin, why? Ani mamin meitim yechayel barov chazdo baruch. I won't give up my day job. Why is belief in Tchiyat HaMesim ikar of Yahadut? Why?
Very difficult to believe, but
you don't believe it? Look at the caterpillar.
No.
Remember, sting like a bee, like a caterpillar. No, butterfly. Look at the butterfly. Butterfly.
When you're sad, when you're very sad at somebody's death, it's
Someone dies, that's tumas meis.
Right.
You come in contact with a dead body, the tumah, you're depressed. Death is so final. But when you learn the paraduma, you see it's not final. So learning the paraduma removes the stigma of death. It removes the finality of death. It gets rid of the tumas meis. That death is only temporary. It's not final. Don't be depressed. But why is Tchiyat HaMesim ikar Yahadut? Why? I'll tell you why. When God created Adam and Chava, the Or Chaim HaKodesh says, they lived in Gan Eden. Where was Gan Eden, Yisrael Baruch? Where was Gan Eden? Which planet was Gan Eden? Where was Gan? We call life after death Gan Eden. They lived in Gan Eden, Ray. Where did they live? Says the Or Chaim HaKadosh. Plan A. You know, plan A seldom works out, even for him. Got to be a plan B. Plan A was that the physical world and the spiritual world, says Or Chaim, should be like a two-story mansion. Beam me up and beam me down. Man was supposed to live forever in both worlds. Gan Eden, there's a physical Gan Eden and there's a heavenly Gan Eden. Before Adam and Chava sinned, Rachmiel, this world and life after death were like a two-story mansion. Escalator going up and going down at will. You push a button, beam me up and beam me down. That was plan A. Man was supposed to live forever in the physical and the spiritual world. But when Adam and Chava sinned, they broke the escalator, Shirley. They broke the elevator. Or Chaim says, I'm using my... They broke the escalator or the elevator. They created a chasm. Is that the right word, chasm? Now the physical world and the spiritual world are what? Separate. The only way to get from the physical world to the spiritual world is through the tunnel that we call what? Death. That's the tunnel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We broke it, so now we have to get the tunnel. But Yeshaya Novi tells us, Ubile hamoves lo netzach. Yeshaya Novi tells us, when Mashiach comes, death will be swallowed up forever. Surely the escalator will be repaired. The elevator will be repaired. You won't need the tunnel of death. Tchiyat HaMesim ikar Yahadut, because that's plan A from 6,000 years ago. That the physical body and the spiritual soul should live simultaneously in both worlds like a two-story mansion, says the Or Chaim. So that's an ikar Yahadut because that's plan A. We delayed it by 6,000 years. But when Mashiach comes, you won't need the tunnel of death anymore. The escalator will be repaired.
But the Rambam said if things are going to be the same as they are now.
But he makes Tchiyat HaMesim of Yahadut. When Mashiach first comes, it'll be the same. Tchiyat HaMesim will happen later, Masha. Right? Tchiyat HaMesim will happen later. When Mashiach first comes, things will be more or less the same. But after a while, the Tchiyat HaMesim will kick in. That's the Ikra of Yahadut. Because that's plan A, where man was supposed to live in the physical and the spiritual world, Avi, simultaneously. So we had to go to, we made God go to plan B. But when Mashiach comes, plan B will no longer be needed. You won't need the tunnel that we call death. So that's Tchiyat HaMesim. That's Tchiyat HaMesim, because that was God's plan from the get-go. So our free will, Sarah, cannot cancel God's plan. We can delay it by 6,000 years. Free will, we can delay his plan, but we can't cancel it. Okay?
We came.
Right? Glad you came, right? I'm also glad So the Paraduma. The Paraduma, the strange, the ashes are defiling and purifying at the same time. Isn't that strange? The Kohen who's involved in the ceremony, he becomes what? Tameh. And the guy that's getting spritzed, he becomes what? Tahor. What's the message? Says Rav Soloveitchik, what's the message? The Kohen. The Kohen, he is the teacher, the leader of the Jewish people, right? To prove your love for another Jew. How much do you love another Jew? Mr. Cohen, you're my leader and my teacher. How much do you love me? Prove your love to me. How do you prove your love? In order to get you pure, I'm being willing to contaminate myself. That's how much you have to love a Jew. God says, you're the Cohen, you're the teacher, you're the leader. Prove your love for another Jew. If that's what it takes to purify a Jew, you have to become Tameh. You have to become Tameh. Otherwise, you can't be a leader. You can't be a teacher. Right? How far do you have to love another Jew? How far? If you're a teacher or a leader, you have to be willing to become Tameh, if that's what it takes to what? To purify another Jew. If you're not willing to do that, step aside. Resign your office. You hear Rav Soloveitchik? That's the point over here. The Kohen, the teacher, the leader. That's how far he has to go. Mesiras nefesh, to love another Jew. The Balatanya says, right? You see a person stuck in the mud, right? He's stuck in the mud. To pull him out, you have to get mud on you. If you're not willing to get mud on you, you'll never pull him out of the mud. You have to be willing to become muddy to save another Jew. Pretty amazing, huh? Now, Zot HaTorah, by Midbar 19, I just want to finish with this. I think if you just hear this, Ray, this is going to make it for you. Zot HaTorah, Adam ki yomes ba'ohel. This is the Torah, a person who dies in the tent. Says the Gemara in Brachas Samach Gimel, Ein Torah mitkaimim el mi shememes atzmo aleh. The Torah can only be kept by someone who's willing to what? Die for it. In Bamidbar 19 verse 14, Zos HaTorah, Adam ki yomes ba'ohel. This is the Torah. A person dies in the tent. Says the Gemara in Brachas 63, the Torah cannot be kept unless you're willing to what? Die for it. I'm all mixed up. We know the greatest mitzvah in the Torah. Staying alive, staying alive. You're supposed to desecrate every mitzvah in the Torah except 3 in order to watch early. To live. So how could the Gemara in Brachas 63 say the Torah can only be kept if you're willing to die for it, One of the greatest mitzvah, Masha, is to what? V'chai b'hem, v'lo sheyamut b'hem. Says my great Rebbe Rapam Zatzal. He says something incredible. He says as follows. You ever notice when you're on your way to do a mitzvah, all of a sudden you get busy, you know? You're on the way to a daf yomi, you're on the way to do a chesed, all of a sudden you get busy with narishkeit. The Yetzer Hara verleiht. How do you say that in English? When you're about to do a mitzvah, you notice you want to go to a shiur or you want to do a chesed project, all of a sudden you want to go daven mincha. You're in the store, you want to go daven mincha, all of a sudden you get 19 customers. Right? You want to go daven ma'ariv, all of a sudden you get busy with customers, you're in the store. Whenever you want to do a mitzvah, you check it out. You see that the Yetzer Hara will always distract you. Says my Rebbe Rapam Zatzal. Zot Torah, other killers for oil. If you want to keep the Torah, when you're about to do a mitzvah, you have to make believe you're dead to the world. A dead person, does he care about his customers? When I'm up, you know, you're about to daven mincha, you want to close your store to go daven mincha. All of a sudden, what? Customers want to come. When you're about to do a mitzvah, you have to make believe that you're dead. If you're dead to the world, I cannot be disturbed. Do not disturb. Yetzer Hara, Satan, lay off. Do not disturb me with narishkeit. Zot Torah. When I'm about to do a mitzvah of the Torah, I have to make believe that I'm what? Dead to the world. Hands off, Yetzer Hara. Do not disturb me. That's the formula to keep the Torah. Thank you. Sunday at 2 o'clock we have a shiur. Early Shabbat. Does a husband and wife have to be on the same page? Early Shabbat. Must the wife join her husband? That's Sunday at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Good Shabbos.